door opens and a cloaked figure steps out. You hear a very old, raspy voice say, "Why would you disturb me? What is wrong?"
Can I talk to this? Does it seem like I can talk? I'm just gonna like
Well,
squawk,
you're in bird
squawk,
form, so you can only
squawk,
squawk.
squawk, and like try and lure him out to the garden.
So are you just making random bird sounds, or are you saying anything in the bird language to emanate those sounds? Because you don't know if
I'm
this
gonna,
person speaks. Maybe they have speak animals. I don't know.
you know what? I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna try and speak the bird language, and all I'm gonna say is garden, garden, garden.
Okay. Well, the figure takes a step forward and kind of looks out the open door and says, "Is something in the garden? Why is the door open?" And the other birds get very tense and alerted, like they can understand him.
Okay.
What do you do, Kastan? He's looking right at you, it seems like.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and like lure him, like kite him into the garden.
Okay. Yeah, if you kind of run over to the garden with your little wings flapping, he's going to follow at a slow but purposeful pace. And Tide, you're able to hear and see that someone's approaching you. I mean, they haven't seen you yet, but they're heading towards the door, so.
I kind of just want to. Well, we're not near each other. I was like, I just want to.
I have
Can
an
I
idea.
see them? Can I see them through the window now? Like, can I see Kastan as they're like walking through the?
Yeah, if when that person went out of the bedroom door, you switched over before they had line of sight on the back door, you could be looking in the kitchen window and stay relatively hidden, so you can see Bird Kastan coming towards the door and this creepy cloaked figure following slowly behind him. So yeah, you'd be able to see them approaching without being seen. Totally.
I'll use one of my uses of my message earring, and I will ask Kastan. I'm like, squawk twice if you want me to hide, or just once if you want me to reveal myself.
I squawk twice.
Okay.
So I'll just like try to like just continue like around the cabin. So I'm like, I kind of like jump a little bit over the fence. I kind of like just.
Wait, are you heading around the corner of the cabin, or do you want to get back in the clearing, or like the edge of the clearing where there's trees you can hide behind?
Is there like? Yeah. So like, well, not. I don't know. I don't want to get too far. So like you said, it was like kind of fenced in, right?
Yeah, but the fence is really low and doesn't provide any cover. It's
not
like
not for the fence. I mean, like if I kind of like where like the corner of the house is, so that like the guy comes out of the door, but like doesn't see me around the corner of his house.
Exactly. You could do that super easily. No need for a stealth check, and you would be hidden from whoever steps out of the back door. But you understand that as you're around that corner, it makes it a little more likely that in the next couple minutes, those two birds out front might see you. So that's the risk.
Yeah. So I'm kind of like just trying to keep like, I don't know. I want for now stay hidden.
Okay.
And see where if I need to like head back into the forest, I will. But I don't want to leave Kastan by himself too much.
Perfect. So yeah, if someone were to be looking at the cabin from the forest towards the back door, you're on the left side of the cabin around the edge. So yeah, you're right around the corner. You're about 15 feet from where Kastan's about to emerge from the back door. No, I was about to say, Kastan, what do you do when you exit the door?
Yeah, so I kind of pull them out into the garden. Ideally, like, how does the door open? Does it open out into the garden, or does it open into the home?
Into the home. So that door was left open, so you would go past the open door it would be on your left as you're walking out of the cabin in the back door. And if you walk into the garden, Tide's going to be on your right, and you're facing the clearing looking out of the cabin. So if you spin around, this cloaked figure's walking through the kitchen about 5 feet behind you. It's moving at a slow pace.
Okay, I'm gonna have Olive try and like before we get too far or even out of the home. Like I've already squawked twice to Tide, so I'm gonna have Olive like scurry out into the garden and draw that symbol that we saw.
Okay.
In like the center of the garden.
Oh,
and
cool,
then
yeah.
I'm gonna have Olive like fuck right off over to Tide.
Perfect. Yeah, you could do that because again, this figure doesn't seem to notice, and Olive can also your feathers are plumy enough that Olive could go over your shoulder and get onto your chest without being seen, and then hop off where the rest of your body's obscuring her from the cloaked figure. So yeah, that totally happens. No need to roll for any of that. So Olive goes over and grabs like a little stick from the garden and quickly draws the symbol big enough to be noticed, and then moves to your right and head right over to Tide. And so Tide, you see Olive run up and hop into one of your pockets on your coat or your pants, wherever you want. And then
ideally I want her to like mime the aspect of grappling, like, you know, catching somebody.
How would you communicate that to Olive non-verbally, since you're trying to not alert the cloaked figure?
I think with my wings, I'm just gonna do this. Garden!
Can you roll a super easy animal handling check to see if Olive understands what you're trying to mimic with your wings?
Absolutely. Get a +4 to that, and I just crit.
Yes. So you do it, and Olive looks at your wings and goes, "Okay, I see what's up." So she runs over to Tide and goes, "Grapple." And Tide, you see that. Okay, it looks like Kastan wants you to grapple this cloaked figure from behind.
So I want to see if there's a way that I can get the cloaked figure, if I can get them to head out into the garden first, because now they've seen this symbol. So maybe they'll be like, what is this? And go investigate, so that I can kind of follow up from the rear and close the door behind me. That way the birds, well, I'm a bird. Well, I mean, the cloaked figure's back will be to me, so then I can bonus action and be like, poof, I'm Kastan again, close door.
Yeah, or with these high rolls too, and I love this plan. It's very smart. So like, yeah, as you see this guy walk out and he kind of looks around and says, "What?" And then he looks down and sees the symbol. You hear him kind of go, "Huh." And so you realize quickly, you're like, okay, I can run around behind him while he's fixated on this symbol and go to the door. And you can kind of grab the doorknob with your wing and just slam it shut, or you can use your beak to kind of grab it too. So you can close that door.
Okay.
And Tide, you would see, while still remaining hidden, that this tall cloaked figure walks out and looks down at the symbol that Olive just drew. And you realize, like, this is my opportunity to get behind and grapple and move unseen if you want to. So do you guys pull the trigger on that plan?
Has Kastan come out of his wild? Oh no! Did you pull it with your beak, or did you come out?
No, I think I would have stayed in the wild shape and pulled it with my beak. And then I think that would have been all I can do while he's looking at the symbol.
With your beak too, you could kind of turn it a little bit to close it without making too much noise. And especially if Tide times it where he's going to do it, like the noise isn't going to. And because as you're doing this, the cloaked figure crouches down and starts looking at the symbol pretty intently. So you guys can totally ambush him if you want.
Okay, so I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna like kind of sneak up to him, and I'm going to with shape water kind of make like a staff. I'm just gonna freeze it, and then I'm gonna
ice,
like ice, and I'm just gonna like kind of like grapple him like this, like not to, because I don't want to hurt him, because I'm like, I don't know what this guy's gonna do, but I do want to kind of like question him about why these birds are here, so I do want to like restrain him in a way.
Perfect. I do need you to roll a strength check, and because of the staff and your ambushing and all the factors leading up to this, I'd like you to add +4 plus your proficiency modifier and your strength modifier to this d20 to grapple. And actually, you don't need to roll, because I rolled his opposing strength check and he rolled a 3, so you're good. Auto success.
I mean, so double check if you don't roll in that one.
True, yeah.
I did not. I got 14.
So yeah, you go behind him and you get your staff of ice, and you just go around and kind of catch the guy, not on his neck, but across his chest, and pull him up. And you can just tell that he's surprised and not expecting it, and you totally have him on surprise, and you pull him up and you have him restrained completely. And now you can say whatever you'd like to say to him.
Why are your birds attacking me?
Kastan's gonna come around in like his bird form and like, quack, quack, quack.
I just kind of like, I don't say it too loud because I don't want to alert the birds in the front, but I'm just like, why are your birds attacking me?
So this tall figure, which you feel now that you're restraining him, is pretty thin and lanky. He kind of goes, "My birds will hunt as they please. Who are you?"
Someone who was attacked by your birds. They seem to be frenzying in this area, and it's it's upsetting the animals, and then I got dragged into it.
He goes, well, of course you got dragged into it. I felt you coming towards me, and I sent the birds to attack you.
Why?
Because I do not want to be disturbed while I do the sacred work I am doing.
Okay, so kind of like bring it back. I'm like, I don't want to be attacked by these birds. I would have happily left you alone, but what is it that you're doing here?
If you leave now and ask no more questions, you will never see my birds again.
One more. Sorry, I was just like, are you the one messing with the water?
The water? Of what do you speak?
We can talk. Like you said, I will gladly leave you to your research if it's not going to affect me or this area, but something's going on with the water around here as well.
What's going on with the water? Tell me. You feel his body relax. He's more like curious now.
I kind of like look down at the bird.
All right, and I will come out of my wild shape.
He looks at you and goes, "Ah, you're not one of my birds."
Not at all. No. Hi, Kastan. Nice to meet you.
So Kastan, facing him from the front, now that you're out in the daylight, you can see that he is a humanoid like you. Where'd he go?
Distant cousin?
No, he is a
cousin?
humanoid like you have never seen before. He is tall, kind of a dark green skin, pointy ears, weird kind of facial features. He doesn't look like he's humanoid for sure, but he's a species you've never seen before.
Kastan's not going to focus too much on that. He's used to seeing weird other beings that can talk and kind of have their own agency.
Cool.
So he's introduced himself and kind of just asked, or I'll answer his question. I'm like, we've seen, or we've heard from the local animals,
Fauna,
critters, that those who drink from the river water become sick. And on our route to get water, just the two of us today, we were encountered by one of these woodland beings that wanted us to look into why the water is tainted, and also why these birds were attacking so many woodland beings, but not for food. It seems just for entertainment or pleasure. It seems your birds are running amok and causing problems within the local ecosystem.
The figure nods and he goes, oh, go ahead.
And then we've also noticed this symbol that is drawn in your garden around in this area as well. What do you know of all of this? And why can't you get a handle on your birds?
He kind of nods at you, and he looks like he moves his hand to scratch his chin, but he's restrained, so he kind of stops and goes.
I scratch his chin for him.
He kind of moves back and goes, please don't touch my face.
Okay.
Excuse his fey manners.
Well, the cloaked figure kind of goes, this is all very interesting. It all adds up, really, but I just need to process all of this new information.
Maybe you'd like to share information?
Well, to be fair, you asked me many questions and told me many things. Which question would you like me to answer first? I suppose, since you've given me new data, I shall answer whatever you wish to hear.
So are we willing to help each other? Leave your birds away from me?
Yes, I wish to know more of what you know. My birds will not attack you any further.
Cool. I'll release him.
Cool. He kind of steps back and he pulls his hood off, and you see that he has kind of like lanky, sparse, dark hair. Tide, you would recognize this man as being a Githzerai species.
Oh.
Yes.
How you spell that? I'll figure it out.
I'll send it in the chat.
And then so like my staff that I kind of have frozen, I'll like with the shape water, we'll just kind of like spin it over a few of the plants and let it kind of like melt over. Don't want to waste that.
He looks at you and goes, efficient and clever.
You don't waste magic, you don't waste water.
I can abide by that. The Watcher would be pleased.
I think the first question that we would want you to answer is, what is your research? What are you doing here?
He looks at you and strokes his chin and goes, I don't know if I want to disclose that yet, but these birds are mine. They are part of my research, and you've been seeing this symbol. He points to the symbol in the ground. He goes, you've been seeing it in the forest, yes?
Yeah, we've seen it
Yes.
carved into trees, like maybe with a dagger or something sharp.
He goes, yes. I've been trying to get the birds to replicate this symbol as part of my research, and he points at the one in the garden and goes, looks like I've been successful.
Sure.
So it was just a matter of them putting the symbol everywhere.
Well, I've been carving it into trees with, he pulls out a dagger, not all the way. He just kind of shows that he has a dagger and puts it back in. And he says, I've been carving it and trying to train them to replicate it with their beaks or their talons. And he gestures again to the one in the garden. He goes, seems I've finally been successful.
Okay, I have to
Um,
be honest with you. I drew that one. I did not. I'm sorry. I didn't know.
He goes,
But maybe,
ah.
maybe if you help us understand what's going on, I could help you teach your birds.
He kind of goes, shakes his head and goes, damn, I wish my birds did that. But never say never. Watchers be blessed. You mentioned the water. Please tell me exactly how these animals are getting ill. It would help my research.
Well, it seems that whenever an animal consumes the water, they become sick for several days. Sometimes they just sleep, sometimes it's nausea, just general digestive upset.
So it affects their stomachs and their digestion. Curious. I've been dumping things in the water. I didn't think it'd have any effect.
Why?
I tried researching on my birds and it didn't work, so I put it in the river. I figured it wouldn't be a problem.
Stop it. What are you putting in the river?
All kinds of things.
There has
But
to be a better.
not in big enough amounts that I thought it would. I mean, the river is pretty large, and it comes from the mountains. I didn't think it'd be an issue.
Well, it is.
It
I
is.
have no ill intent towards the animals nearby, but also my research is more important, so I will continue dumping in the river if I need to.
Is there something else you can do with it? Like
I'm
I
not going
didn't.
to bury it in the ground. My birds might get into it, and it might make them sick. I don't want that.
Can it be digested by a mold of some kind?
A mold, you say? As
Pour
if
it
to
on there?
absorb it and break it down. Curious. He pulls out like a
Maybe
little piece of parchment. This cloaked man, he's pulled his cloak back now, but he pulls out a little piece of parchment and kind of scribbles on it with a small pen. It looks like it has some dried ink on there. He licks it, which is kind of gross, and he just starts writing down like moss to break down the substances. Interesting.
If you
you
tell
might
me
be.
what these substances are, we might be able to help you learn how to break them down so you're not dumping them into the river and that your birds wouldn't be able to get into them.
And it might be able to break down into components to help the garden here.
I never even thought of using it as makeshift fertilizer. You two are geniuses.
Just
Well, I vowed to keep my research secret, but you might be able to help me. Come, come. He offers you to come inside the house, and he moves towards the door. Do you guys follow him?
Caston does, yes.
Okay. Actually, you guys can roll a free insight check real quick just to see.
see how he's doing.
Yeah.
Roll this one.
Pretty sure Gaston just trusts him. What's my insight? Let's see.
I got a 12, but my passive insight is 14.
Okay,
I
okay.
rolled a 14. My passive insight is also 14.
Sweet. Okay, so Tide, you get the vibe that this guy is pretty genuinely interested in the ideas you guys are tossing around to him. But you also have a little bit of a suspicion. You're like, he might be trying to lure us back in the house where the birds are.
Really
Could be a
don't
little
like those
dicey.
birds.
But Castan, with yours, you definitely feel like his curiosity and your ideas is outweighing any malintent, and he doesn't seem hostile towards you guys anymore.
Yeah.
I look at him like, oh, he's like a professor I had, nutty academic type that just.
So yeah, he goes and opens the door and walks inside, and he does open a cabinet in the kitchen and pull out a candle, and he lights it. So you guys, it's illuminated. Now,
Cool.
but now that you're out of wild shape, it doesn't really matter. But for dark vision purposes. But yeah, he beckons to you and says, "Come into my room. I have my parchments here. I have a list of the substances I've been using. Come on in."
Sure, I'll druidcraft the fireplace like on.
Okay, yeah,
I'll put a
yeah.
fire in
You
the
ignite a little
fireplace.
fire in there. Some
Yeah.
of the birds kind of look over at the fire and look at you, and then they kind of go over, and a bunch of them kind of just like there's 4 in the house, by the way. There's 4 birds. They all kind of curl up and kind of sit by the fire. They look warm and happy, so they seem pretty docile right now.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
Good. Yeah, because I don't have any AoE spells for these things.
I think I have one.
I have color spray.
My
Right.
best I could do is entangle.
I feel
Yeah.
like color spray could be done better if you didn't have to roll like you have to roll for this like you do for sleep. It's a
Oh,
15-foot cone, and then you roll 60-10, and then it goes from the hot person who has the least health to the most, and it starts like blinding them. But like then it's only until the end of your next turn. So I'm like, if this is a color, why does it what's that have to do with your health? Like I should be able to like spray this blinding effect, and then because then but there's no save against it is the thing. So I guess that is the trade-off. You're rolling
I
to
think
see
it
how
should be a save.
I agree that it should probably be a save instead, but like
we can homebrew that if you want, where you can have a choice when you cast it of, hey, I'm either going to cast it with rules as written, where it's an HP based spray, or you can do it where there's no HP limit, but everyone has a chance to do a dex save against it to dodge it.
okay.
I would say that you would, especially like once you hit higher levels, like that you would have enough Arcana proficiency to choose how you cast the color spray. So I'm cool with homebrewing that if you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Sweet.
Because I'm like, this is like a pretty cool like blinding something, but I'm like also like you roll for it.
It's a first level spell, right?
Yeah.
It's just Okay. Anyway, sorry.
No, it's fine. I'm down to homebrew that to make it
I
a
was
little more versatile
I was like,
in
oh,
terms of how you want to cast it.
I was like, this is my one AoE.
Right. 15-foot cone color. That's cool. But yeah, no, so going into the bedroom, the guy brings you in. He has kind of a messy desk, and he pulls out some parchments that list a bunch of like herbs and oils and different ingredients he's been using to try to make some kind of potions. You can't tell what objective he's trying to achieve with the potions, but he shows you the parchments and says, these are the ingredients I've been dumping in the river. And you see kind of some things where like certain ingredients have like little lines saying they've been mixed together. So if you roll a nature or medicine check, either of you guys are free to roll either of those, you might be able to deduce what he's trying to go for with these substances and their combinations therein. Nope.
No, medicine is my highest, and I got a 9.
Oh gosh. Okay, so you're looking at these and you're like, what is this guy trying to do?
Yeah. I mean, also, I think that I probably just wouldn't be familiar with a lot of the local plants.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Ooh. Dirty 20.
Dirty 20. Okay, nice. Okay, so looking at that, it looks like he's trying to, some of these ingredients, you're getting a vibe of like trying to increase the strength or like immune system of animals. And then you also are looking at, you've heard in your scholarly pursuits of people trying to like make like liquids or concoctions or mixtures that make people more amenable to like persuasion, or obviously the end goal might be mind control. It seems like he might be knocking on that door, but it seems fairly rudimentary and experimental, but that's kind of the information you glean from doing a quick pass of these ingredients lists. So
I have a quick sidebar with Tide.
Mm-hmm.
Tide, do you think maybe we should show him those ingredients the rabbit showed us?
Do any of those match?
there's not too much overlap actually, no, with what the rabbit showed you and his ingredients. No. Also tied with that dirty 20, you would notice that a lot of his ingredients come from kind of the northwest of Jir'Haniya, which is pretty far from where you guys are. So it seems like a lot of the ingredients were brought from other parts of the continent to here. Most of them are not local to this area.
So, shrouded figure, dude.
He answers to that and goes, yes, what would you like to ask?
How is this related to getting your birds to draw these symbols? What's the purpose of the symbol?
The purpose of the symbol is to teach my birds to worship the Watcher.
Watcher.
Who is the Watcher?
The Watcher is the watchful one. The angry spirit that will judge all living beings before the end.
Oh, so it's like your deity.
It's the deity of the world, the man says confidently.
I respect your beliefs.
Thank you. The watchful
Um,
one will be happy that you respect it as well.
Kassan's broken. Like,
So are you
Actually, Tide, can you roll a religion check real quick as a free thing? I'm not going to have you roll it, Kastan, because you're not from this continent.
I would not have, any idea.
Tide might have heard of it though, so I want him to roll.
Ooh. A 22.
Okay, so you have absolutely heard of the worship of the watchful one. You would know that a semi-common religion is the worship of the watchful one. Followers are called the watched. They believe that a single angry spirit roams the lands and is the sole judge of each soul before it passes into the afterlife. The watchful one is depicted as many things: a vulture with blood on its feathers, a snake with 5 eyes, a fish with the hands and legs of a wolf, and other less common depictions. But the most common one is that it's a frail old woman with 1 eye and no teeth who wears many layers of clothing, beneath which are said to be chicken's feet instead of regular human legs. The watched have a pretty standard set of ethics they follow, you would know, and they tend to be very judgmental, though, and very cryptic, and encouraging others to be very stringent in the following of their laws of ethics. That's what you would know with that role. So you have heard of this religion. It's almost more of a religion than a cult, but it's right on the border of being that distinction, you know?
Okay.
Yikes.
So yeah, I just kind of because I heard that earlier and I was like, oh, is it the kind of watchers that we're working with? No, different watchers. Got
Different
it.
watchers, yes.
I'm like, okay, so he's mostly harmless. So I think the plants that we brought. So the poisoning of the river. Some of the local animals have been able to use local plants to give them some relief to those effects. Those might be able to help you kind of counteract the negative effects you aren't looking for in your potions here.
Interesting. I would love a list of those ingredients, please.
No, I bring out mine.
You go, oh, curious, interesting. He starts writing them down and scribbling them in his very messy handwriting.
So I think that, not dumping things into it's only going to, it seems the local animals are very helpful, and just the passive information we've been able to give you. So maybe not upsetting their ecosystem might further help your research. Might please the watcher to be able to take care of the local ecosystem and work with it. Might be giving you some extra judgment points there.
I do like judgment points.
And encouraging your birds not to attack local wildlife unless it's to feed.
Interesting. Yes, I did notice that some of my experimentation was producing some extra aggression in those birds, and to be honest, I didn't really mind too much because they make for great watch animals and keep my research secret as it should be. But you guys are giving me lots of useful information. You are both very helpful. Would you like to become my acolytes and help me to serve the Watcher?
No, thank you.
Oh, no, thank you.
It's much appreciated, but we have work that we are already on a path down, and it would probably not be too pleasing to abandon one route and then go to another. I wouldn't want to lose any judgment points for not keeping my end of the commitment,
Have you made a commitment to the Watchful One?
Not specifically, but I'm sure he has me on my own path.
I must pray to the Watchful One and see if I should help you or not. Will you excuse me while I pray? And he kind of gestures to the door and asks you guys to leave his room.
And give him a guidance to have positive.
Positive he feels it and kind of goes, oh, this is a good sign. I like this. So he kind of motions for you to go to the door, and he kind of kneels down in front of his bed to pray. Do you guys leave him be, or okay?
Yeah, I think I would. Like I said, I respect his religious beliefs, so I'm gonna.
And I just don't want to be attacked by these birds.
Well, if you guys step back out into the living room and close the door, you would hear him kind of start quietly like muttering and praying. In the living room, the birds are still kind of huddled around the fire. One of them's gone over to eat some more food, but they're just kind of chilling. So do you guys want to just chill in the living room or inspect the house anymore while he's praying, or what do you guys want to do?
There's that other door, but like, will the birds attack us if we start snooping?
Well, that's the front door.
Well,
There's
there's one more. There's one more room.
There is one more room you guys haven't explored.
Oh.
Sorry.
Maybe I'll sidle up next to that door and have Olive kind of go under it and look around.
So like I said, this cabin is fairly newly built, so there's not really any wear and tear to where I don't think Olive could really slink under there.
Okay.
It's a pretty tight door frame.
Could my owl get a view in from the outside, from a window?
This room actually does not have a window to it that you can see from the outside.
It also might be a bathroom because we haven't seen one of those.
Sorry, just a retcon. There would have been a small outhouse outside. There is no bathroom inside the cabin. Yes. So it is not a bathroom, but I like where your head's at.
I'm gonna listen, like with my ear at the door. Be like, I don't know, is anything in there? Anyone? Maybe he's experimenting on animals in there.
You actually don't hear any sounds coming from it.
I try to. Is it locked? I'm gonna test the knob.
It feels like there's a very basic lock on there. Yes, it would be easy to pick, but it is locked.
Okay, I don't think I have.
I think we can just he did say if whether or not he should help us, but like from here on. So he's the one's been poisoning the river. If we can maybe help him to stop doing that. I think maybe we could go out to the garden and find a little empty plot where we could maybe try to grow some fungus that would deteriorate these harmful ingredients. And because now that we know what region they're from, maybe we could it'll be easier for us to work with it.
I'll dig up some worms while you work on the moss.
Okay.
I like that plan. So you guys step outside and get to work on that. There's no need to roll for it. Based on how you've been rolling in terms of like nature and medicine and stuff, you guys kind of think over the ingredient. Actually, I'm just going to say that you guys took that ingredients list with you when you stepped out of his room while he's praying. So looking it over, you're like, you know what? I can think of some fungi from around like the Asgara region and like maybe Lake Talyos up north, where like you're like there are some like kind of water-based fungi that with the river water you could probably get to grow here relatively well, and that would probably dissolve these different like oils and ingredients and like things he's trying, because he's also using like some kinds of like venom extract from certain exotic animals and stuff like that. So you're like, okay, we could break this down and make it harmless. So would you like druid craft that to make it come into play, or how would you guys bring that into his garden?
Yeah, I would druid craft like a little bit of it there. Just try and find like an empty plot somewhere where I can kind of start growing it, or find some kind of system where he can maybe just like dump it in.
Yeah,
maybe we can like dig a shallow pit and then put the moss at the bottom, put the worms in the moss, maybe some like dead leaves.
Yeah, actually with your druid craft, it takes you guys about 15 minutes to kind of set this all up, but you do make a little separate plot of the garden. Like you kind of find some like wooden 2x4s near the kitchen that are just kind of in there not being used. And you can kind of like border this little portion of the garden. You put a bunch of worms in, you druid craft some fungi from Lake Talyos that's a little like it's almost like a freshwater version of coral that grows there, but it's kind of like coral combined with a Venus flytrap. We'll call it ingen rot is what they call it locally. You guys don't remember the scientific term, but ingen rot, and it does break down a lot of things, and so they use it as kind of like a almost like like the elves kind of use it for like medicinal purposes. Sometimes if someone has necrosis or an infection, they can kind of eat away at stuff, almost like they used to use maggots, which is gross in like ancient times, but almost like that, but cleaner because it's not it's more plant-based. And so anyway, you're able to druid craft that up and you test it with a few other ingredients laying around, and you're like, yeah, this is breaking it down pretty quick. And you think that it would totally break down any harmful things instead of putting it in the water system. So yeah,
cool.
Sweet.
This guy's been praying for a long time.
Yeah. So as you guys are working, you're like, like it's almost 11 a.m. at this point. Like you guys have been on this little adventure for a while, but he finally steps out. You hear him walk out of his room. You hear the door open, and he kind of steps out, and he looks around in his house and realizes you guys are out back, and he walks out and says, "Have you been doing something with my garden?"
I added a little area over here where you could dispose of anything harmful. and it should naturally degrade.
He comes and looks and he goes,
It's called composting.
composting. Is that
Yeah.
Ingenrot from up north near Lake Talios?
It must be.
Wow, I never thought of that. I suppose if it can work for medicinal uses, it can work for breaking down these substances as well. You are a resourceful pair, I must say. Huh. He's kind of stroking his chin, just looking at it, and goes. And he just keeps nodding and just looking at it.
Okay.
So, how did your prayer go?
Oh, yes. Sorry, I was distracted by thinking of all the ramifications of how useful this will be. This is delightful. Ingenrot. Wow.
Yeah,
Oh, yes,
you'll
my
have to
prayer.
avoid using a river, but this will work just as well.
Yes, if anything, more efficient because I don't have to travel 20 minutes over to the river hauling the waste. This is fantastic. And I can use the remnants to fertilize my garden. This is outstanding. I can feed my birds. I can feed myself. Fantastic. Yes. Well, no. My prayers. Your resourcefulness showed me that I should not be as aggressive with my birds, sicking them on visitors. You two have been so helpful. I think that I need to change how I use my birds and make sure they're less aggressive and more pious and more intellectual. So I'm really glad you guys have come here.
Maybe they can be used to support your research and not protect your research, unless it's in harm's way.
Well, my research is for them. I want to give them the intelligence and sentience of a humanoid race. Because they're
That's
very quick moving and fast and have sharp beaks and they could take over the world and make everyone force them into subservience for the watchful one. So I think my research is safe.
Okay.
nice.
I mean, good luck with your birds.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's
Uh,
moderately terrifying, but I see where you're going with it. I'm sure the watchful one doesn't specifically need you to force people into their subscription, but
He kind of goes, I don't know. I've read through the sacred texts many, many, many times, and that's certainly the message I get from it. What is your favorite passage from the sacred texts?
Kastan tries to remember if he's read anything on this, and it's like, I
But
don't think.
with my role, would I know like a basic?
Yeah, you would know that a common one that a lot of people go with, which is a pretty one, is oh yeah. So I wrote down. Okay, so do not take from another their enjoyment of their life. Do not possess what is not rightfully yours. Do not ever lick or mock a stone of any kind. Do not lie and do not betray an oath are like their most common tenets.
Definitely lie.
Um, I would definitely, Kastan would hear that. I'm guessing Ty kind of runs through it real quick, and it's like, yeah, definitely depart on not taking from someone else like their joy, and maybe they enjoy doing their religion and living life how they enjoy. And so the Watcher would probably like for you to have supported them in their joy rather than taking from them their joy.
Can you roll me a persuasion check at advantage? I like that. I want to see if you can change this guy's weird ways.
Great. And also because we had been under a couple long rests, we are under the eye of Haldoon, which gives me +1 to charisma checks.
Nice.
So this is the day for it. Let me tell you. Let me see what I get to persuasion.
And guidance.
Ooh, yes.
Add a guidance there. Okay, persuasion is a total of 3 because of the eye of Haldoon. I rolled an 18 and a 19.
Nice.
So that's going to be a total of 23 with
Nice.
guidance.
So yeah, the man kind of stops and goes, that is one of the apex tenets. I never thought of it that way.
In his own
Wow.
way, by letting people follow their own path, he's leading them back.
I never
Maybe
thought
you
of it
can
that
breed
way.
your birds to be intelligent enough to support people in doing what they feel is best, and therefore the Watcher is always with everyone.
Wow. I am so glad that you resourceful pair have come to me because In my zeal to appease the watchful one, I've been putting the impetus of piety on myself and not on the watchful one. You're absolutely right. If everyone's free to do their own thing, the watchful one can move in their own way. I am but a vessel. This has been a
I think
wondrous
what
day.
we've learned today is that the watchful one expects us to be watchful of our own actions as well.
Wisely said. Yes. Yes. Very
Wisdom
good.
is my best stat.
He goes, yes, very good. I shall change my ways. I was going to have lunch. Would you all like to join me?
Well, we still have a few more things to do in the area. Was there any assistance you could lend us? Because we, are still trying to help out the local ecosystem here. And also there's something about a cave about 30 minutes south from here.
Oh, yes. When I had my birds map the terrain for me, they're not very good at making maps, so it wasn't very helpful. But there was a cave they mentioned, but I have no need for anything in a cave, so I haven't really paid it much heed.
Okay. And what about north of here? Does the river just continue on, or is there anything of interest near the river that you've noticed on your way to the place that you used to dump your ingredients?
Well, the last time I dumped something was about 2 days ago. I won't dump any more now that you've given me this lovely Ingenrot. But I can show you on a map where I used to dump so you can go higher up in the river and get some fresh water if you need.
Okay, that would be
That
helpful.
It
great.
is also apparently making the fish aggressive.
But
That
that
makes
might be
sense.
because you were trying to make your birds aggressive. So I feel like that came. The fish were biting other critters, and could you imagine?
I can imagine. That sounds terrifying and wondrous. But it won't happen anymore because, like, you've changed my mind on how I want my birds to behave. So I will abandon the aggression part of my research and make them more intellectual and supportive. And I would also like to improve their map making skills and their symbol drawing skills because they're very bad at both right now.
This symbol that you have on the ground, it would be very easy to teach them to just kind of like peck a line into the ground.
That's what I've been trying
And
to do.
I can, but there are birds. But that's why you want to make them smart, so they could have a better access of their fine beak skills.
Exactly. Exactly. You understand. He puts his hand on your shoulder and goes, you get it. The watchful one be blessed for sending you two to my humble abode.
Surprise, all those critters were really the watchful one.
Put my acolyte back on his path.
This man would certainly think so, but yeah.
um, we would hate to turn down your kind offer. Is there anything we can take to go on our walk towards the river? Like a sandwich or a wrap of some kind.
He goes, what is a
Do you have
sandwich
a
or
torta?
He says, I have some bread, but it is getting rather old, and I have some vegetables from my garden. He kind of motions to them, and you notice they all look a little bit like kind of feeble and not fully grown yet. So it's like,
We would hate to disturb them, and therefore taking resources from you, because then you wouldn't be able to live your best watcher life. But
yes,
we will.
exactly. But he goes, wait, I have something for you. Give me a moment. And he steps inside the house. And he's in there for a couple minutes, but he comes back out and he has some extra water skins he gives you that look clean and nice, so you can get some extra water. And then he also gives you a couple little rods of wood that they're not fully cylindrical. They're a little bit gnarled and twisted, but they're about this long and about this thick. Just some small little pieces of wood, and they're kind of hollowed out. And they have that symbol that he was trying to teach the birds etched in it. He goes, he hands you 3 of these, and he says, these are some little amulets I tried experimenting with. They seem to work quite good. When I etch the symbol in and put a little bit of light magic upon them, I think if you were to crack one of these open, it would help you out with whatever you're doing for a couple seconds. Or if you were to throw it at someone, if you just intention in your mind to hinder them, you could throw it at them, and if it broke upon them, it would hinder them. So the way that translates into gameplay is that these little branches, there's 3 of them. If you break them while you're doing something, you get +1 d4 to whatever roll you're doing, and that can stack with guidance or bardic inspiration or anything like that. Or if you throw it on someone else, you can choose to either subtract 1 d4 from their next roll or hinder their movement speed by 5 feet for 2 rounds.
Oh,
So
nice.
just little one-time usage, little things he'll give you for in the future if you want to use those.
I really want to ask about what's in that room, but I don't want to ruin this new friendship.
Up to you.
uh,
Do what to their movement? Half
5 feet minus five
or
feet
well, let's make it
for
minus
two
10.
rounds.
Let's minus 10 feet for 2 rounds. Let's do that.
do we want to check out the river? Or do we want to? Yeah, I think we have time to go up to make sure where he dumps stuff.
Um,
Maybe we can do a little filtration of the same thing. But if we go up to, we can just see to make sure that. I mean, he has said he hasn't dumped in 2 days, so
You
it
could go.
should.
You could go inspect it if you wanted with a nature or perception check to, and then you could also fill the water skins like that was your original objective to go to. So
If like so, do like going up there. Is there any kind of like? Is there an issue where he dumped the water?
well, so the
Oh
man
yeah,
would. Oh yeah, he would just say, "May the watchful one watch over you," and he's like, "I'm gonna go try to make what was it, a sandwich?" You said I can take my moldy bread and some meat in there, or how? What?
meat and veggies, and just between two bread.
Fascinating. That would be a
Thin
flavorful combination. I'm
thin
going to do that.
slice of bread, two of them, and then you. Or if when your bread is not good, if you have lettuce, you could put the things in the lettuce and wrap it up, and then it's a good. They're both good to go items.
So my lettuce would hold the other vegetables and meat. I also have some goat cheese that I brought from my homeland. I could put that
Sprinkle it
all in
on
there.
there.
Interesting. I'm going to do this. The watchful one has blessed
Hassan
me
writes
today.
down a few different recipes of like different salads and stuff he can do with the goat cheese. Some fun like dressings he can make with like oil and vinegar. I'm like, here you go.
He goes, wow, thank you both for so many things. I'm excited to go make my lunch. May the watchful one watch over you. And he kind of goes inside and closes the door behind him. So you guys are good to go. You see Gastrothil the Raven flying overhead, and Olive's with you, so you guys can head up towards the river. It's a short walk over there.
I think we'll tell Gastrothil. Um, Gastrothil, it seems like we've solved the issue with the river, so the animals shouldn't be getting sick from drinking from it. And just wait a few days, of course, and the fish should return to normal. And
Oh,
of course, these giant, terrifying birds should also be leaving you alone.
excellent. Wow. You superhero gods have saved our community. Thank you so much.
Not superheroes,
Not
not
super.
gods.
In terms of the birds, they're not native to here, and they're a nuisance now. They should be starting to behave, but maybe introducing them into your ecosystem so they know what they can and cannot eat. They should be more not talkative, as birds can be, but they should be better to approach now. They shouldn't just be frenzying at people anymore.
Well, Gastrothil says, good. Yeah, we've been trying to learn their language. They speak a different dialect than the rest of us birds, but we'll keep trying to
Oh,
communicate with
yes.
them, and hopefully we can come to some sort of an arrangement.
Here, I can provide some tips on how to communicate with them. I actually spoke their language very briefly, and so I kind of detail what I know or what I've learned.
He goes, yes, go get your water, and I'll meet you back at our community, and you can share that with everyone.
Yeah.
You guys go to the river, and you're able to see where stuff was dumped, and doing a little bit of prestidigitation, you can clean it up there, and you're like, okay, the water should be good within a day or two, and you can go upstream and fill up all your water skins. And so you do see some fish jumping out of the water a little bit aggressively, but they don't get close to you guys, so you're fine.
Very much use shape water to keep the aggressive fish away.
Cool.
Are any
Yeah,
of them Jish?
no. They're very
Damn.
distinctly different looking, because Jish was a saltwater fish. These are
Oh, that's
freshwater
right,
fish
that's
in a
right.
river, yeah. And so yeah, everything's good there. Do you guys want to go back to the animal community or go to the cave? What do you guys want to do next after filling up your water skins completely?
We can take a crack at the
Um,
cave.
yeah, I think we would want to hit up the cave on our way back just to kind of take a peek.